mystery.
In our history.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Mystery in Our History podcast, where we take an in-depth look at all things urban legend and conspiracy theory related and how they came to be. I'm J.R. Supa. That's Chris Berry, a.k.a. Chris B_OMG.
Yep.
And here we go.
Yep. We're joined by Sonic today, Salt Boy, and we got it all. I set it up before the thing.
Salt Boy? What is Salt Boy?
Salt Boy? Right there?
Oh, Fault Boy.
Salt Boy from Fallout? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see him. He's just out of frame.
That makes sense.
Little Pip Boy.
There's a Securitron there. Whatever. I set it all up. It was fancy.
You are a fancy boy. All I have are sound dampening wall decorations. I still haven't gotten my nice poster to hang here of the Four Guys Media Network. That'll come, whenever this makes money. All right, so let's dive in to this week. This week, Chris and I are taking a look at the Bigfoot of the East, the folk monster, spelt F-O-U-K-E. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It could be fook, it could be folk, it could be fuck. I don't know, but it's the fook monster. Oh, it's the fuck monster.
The fuck monster from the East Coast.
That's right. Hide your kids, hide your wife. The fuck master's coming.
He's out his way.
It's also known as the Boggy Creek Monster. And Chris and I actually came across this cryptid by accident because we were looking for something else on Amazon Prime to try and watch, and this showed up. So we actually came across this, and then we looked into it, and we thought it was a pretty cool topic. So quite frankly, I am surprised we haven't come across this sooner.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, God, and we were just like fistfuls of like cryptids were thrown at us that whole time, right? When we were looking for a new movie, and that one just stuck. We were just like, I don't know, Boggy Creek.
Yeah,
let's do it. He looks like a poor sass, so let's just do that one.
Poor sass.
B grade sass,
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the origin story of the Boggy Creek or fuck monster. Folk monster. Folk, whatever.
Fuck? The fuck monster.
Yeah.
We can just call it the fuck monster.
I think I want to kind of call it the fuck monster, but I feel like the more we say it, the more I'm going to have to label this like inappropriate on YouTube.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, flag yourself.
Contains inappropriate language. Okay, so let's start with the origin story. 150 miles outside of Little Rock, Arkansas, there's a little town called Folk. In that town, as far back as 1834, there have been reports of a wild man, a large, hairy monster standing on two legs between 7 and 8 feet tall, weighing over 300 pounds, whose chest, legs, and arms are covered with thick, long hair, roaming around Arkansas.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because like I had an old family / Navy friend from Arkansas, and when I was younger, he never mentioned the Boggy Creek Monster or anything, but I guess that's not really something you bring up at dinner either. So
yeah, that's fair.
That's passable.
So, hey, have you guys ever heard of the East Coast Bigfoot?
Yeah, you ever check that out? It's from my hometown.
Pass the potatoes. It's called the fuck monster.
Perfect dinner conversation right there, dude.
Oh my God. Well, in the 1900s, sightings around folk became more. I'm going to call it folk.
Okay.
Because I can't keep going back and forth. It's spelt fook, so I don't know. Anyway, sightings around folk became more frequent. Residents spotted the monster more than 40 times in 1997 alone, and it has been suggested that the animal is nocturnal. But a hunter actually reported a sighting in broad daylight in the Sulphur River Wildlife Area near Folk in 2000.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's recent.
So many have argued the reported sightings of the Boggy Creek Monster are actually sightings of black bears misidentified. Although black bears are not bipedal, they can rear up on 2 feet and some weigh up to 400 pounds and stand over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, and it's funny too because of course like the sightings are different per person, but it really can be narrowed down to a specific profile, or it has been anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Boggy Creek Monster cryptid profile is again approximately 7 feet tall, weighing 300 to 500 pounds, dark brown or black hair covering body, dark skin with ape-like face. Habitat is usually like bottomland hardwood. The nearest town, of course, Folk, Arkansas. Alleged sighting, 1908. That's the first alleged sighting, although it's been rumored that from the 1800s, rumors. Latest sighting, I actually saw a website that said it was 2019, the one that we were looking at earlier. Track evidence, there's been a lot of track evidence. However, there's no photos, not a single photo of this guy. So
That's
there's no
surprising
photographic evidence. Right.
Because there's a million photos of Bigfoot.
Right, or even crappy photos of just something in the woods. There's it's Bigfoot, but this guy, nothing, zilch. It's a little suspect, I will say, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Why I think it's suspect. I found something out about Arkansas and cryptids.
All right, fair enough. I'm excited for this. So the Boggy Creek Monster has been the subject of at least 4 different films, beginning with the 1973 The Legend of Boggy Creek. This particular movie, centered around Bobby Ford's supposed encounter with the beast, played in drive-in theaters around the country and introduced millions to the legend. Mostly shot on location, in Folk, but with additional scenes filmed in Texarkana and Shreveport, Louisiana. The film also served as a major economic boost to the region. Many cast members were locals or nearby college students.
Nice.
Yes. So, I'm sorry, I said 4 different films. It's actually 5 different films. So there are 5 movies that we could find based on the Boggy Creek legend. The first being The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yeah, that's just the title. Says it all. No need for a synopsis.
Well, I mean, we're going to get into the synopsis a little bit later because it's based on, I guess, an encounter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But essentially, that's the Bobby Ford's supposed encounter with the beast. So that's...
Yes, that was the movie. Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's kind of the movie. I didn't feel like we need to say it twice.
But apparently you did.
Yeah, exactly.
We're here just about the monster in his day-to-day life.
All right, so the next movie is Return to Boggy Creek from 1977. The second folk monster film, Return to Boggy Creek, had an entirely fictional plot and was not intended to be a sequel. It was directed by Tom Moore, written by John David Woody, and starred Dawn Wells as the mother of 3 children who become lost in the swamp.
It's funny. It sounds like this was pitched to be a Swamp Thing AAA movie and just didn't make the cut. They're just you know what? Fuck it. We're making it. Cut Swamp Thing. Get me another Swamp Man. Boggy Creek Monster? Yeah, okay, great. Just jam them in there.
That's it.
He'll just take the place.
That's it. Boggy Creek. Man. Fuck these guys.
I love when movies...
It's like how Rick and Morty was supposed to be a Back to the Future cartoon, and they wouldn't give him the rights, so he was like, all right, fuck you.
Yeah, we'll just make our own thing. Dude, I love it, too, when they make movies that are not intended to... it's a sequel to a movie, but it just was not intended to be that way. Troll 2, for instance, is one of them. It's just oh, man. Movies like that are just the best.
Yeah, so technically this is not a sequel, but it is Return to Boggy Creek.
Right.
So the third movie is Boggy Creek 2 and The Legend Continues. Not The Legend Continues. Boggy Creek 2 and The Legend Continues.
And
from 1985. Originally titled The Barbaric Beast of Boggy Creek, Part 2. Evidently, the alliteration got the best of some people, and so they changed it. The third folk monster film was written as a sequel to the original film. Charles B. Pierce wrote, directed, and played the role of Brian Lockhart, a University of Arkansas professor who leads a group of students into the swamps around Folk. The film was later used in an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
That's crazy. I actually didn't know that, and my partner loves MST3K. So I bet she's seen that one. I got to ask her after this. Yeah.
And that automatically means it is a shit film.
Oh, dude, garbage can tier. Just dumpster film, like dumpster fire.
Like, if Mystery Science Theater 3000 is doing that movie, it's automatically a dumpster fire.
Yeah, scraping the barrel for sure. Also, just a quick note. I just love that the third movie here is a part 2.
Yeah.
I just, I love that shit.
Well, we're going chronologically. Like,
yeah, of course. No.
By release date, not, in the story.
Right.
not in the Boggy Creek universe.
Listen, if you want to get deep down in the lore, there's a website for it, guys. I don't know what it is, but you're gonna have to find it on your own.
Yeah.
You have to respect the lore.
All right, so the next movie is titled Boggy Creek, The Legend is True, from 2010.
Yeah, dude. I love that.
35 years in between.
Yeah, nothing like booting up at like 35 years later. It's just horrible, horrible.
Okay, so released straight to home video in 2011. Boggy Creek, The Legend is True. Early buzz suggests that the film, directed by Brian T. Janes, was to be the remake of Charles B. Pierce's original 1972 film. However, its unrelated story, set in fictional town of Boggy Creek, Texas. Even so, the film obviously draws influence from Pierce's film with its small-town setting and the use of spooky swampscapes for the Southern Sasquatch horror slasher.
I love the added effort of being like, this isn't your mom and dad's Arkansas Boggy Creek monster. This is the hardcore Texas one now, guys. So
it's
watch
like
out.
It's like when they keep rebooting like Dracula. You know how there's so many different Dracula movies, like Dracula 2000, Dracula this, Dracula that, and it's like everybody knows the story of Dracula, so they just like put it in a different setting.
Yeah, they edge it up,
right?
So, like depending on like where they're going. Like Dracula 2000 is the most edgelord Dracula movie I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah,
ever.
And so it's like this. They were like, okay, so we're gonna make this movie. And it's going to be a reboot of Boggy Creek, but let's just change everything about it and just start the whole universe over again to see if we can get another trilogy out of this thing.
You thought you knew the story. You don't.
You thought wrong.
God damn,
Coming
dude.
summer 2011, straight to your home because theaters don't want it. Boggy Creek, The Legend is True.
Yeah, write the tape.
Yep.
It's the only way it could get made.
That's my voiceover audition tape.
I love it. Send it in.
All right, the last movie is The Legacy of Boggy Creek, because every monster needs to leave a legacy.
Need a legacy.
That's right. This low-budget indie film was originally released in 2009 under the title The Skunk Cape Story, but was later re-edited and re-released on home video in 2011 as The Legacy of Boggy Creek. The docudrama chronicles the events that began after the original attacks in Folk. It was written and directed by Dustin Ferguson.
They should have left the name.
What, Skunk Ape?
Yeah, I probably... Dude, okay, listen, real talk.
I would watch Skunk Ape before I watched Boggy Creek.
If I came across the Skunk Ape story on Netflix, like just like poking around,
absolutely,
I'd probably throw it on.
If I'm just like skimming through Netflix or Prime or wherever, and I see Fook Monster, and then the next thing I see is Skunk Ape, I'm going Skunk Ape before I go Fook Monster, unless it's spelled Fuck Monster, and then I give that the chance first.
That's true. Listen, that's true. See, this guy gets it. This guy watches, what is it, Velocipaster?
Velocipaster.
Oh, man, and like I'm a big fan of like Wolf Cop
back-to-back shows mentioning the Velocipaster movie. Did you watch it yet?
An ongoing theme. No.
Oh,
no.
dude, please watch it. It's so fucking good.
I bet I can rope Jess into watching it.
It's worse than anything I've ever seen on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
That's fair. it might make it on there someday.
I hope so, and B, so this last movie, The Legacy of Boggy Creek,
Mm-hmm.
originally released under a different name. You know what it reminds me of? The Room.
Oh no, yeah,
Remember how The Room was originally like a serious movie?
yeah,
And
yeah.
it failed
Tommy
so
Wiseau took it
miserably that they
very
re-released it
seriously.
as a black comedy. It's not even a dark comedy. It's so dark, it's black.
There's not even comedy.
It's
This is
not.
what's funny.
But you're
Like,
tearing me
just
apart, Lisa.
the movie being bad is the funny part. I don't think that makes it qualify as a comedy.
Listen, he leaned into it, and it's one of the greatest movies. Now they do midnight showings like it's the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I love it. Good for him.
I know. All right, well, let's watch some of the trailers for these movies because I was able to find most of them.
Yes, absolutely. I'm game.
All right, so we'll go in order that we discussed above. We'll just go in order with those.
Perfect.
Okay.
Here in this primitive river bottom wilderness in southern Arkansas, along with deer, duck, crane, and beaver, lurks a creature that walks upright. Whether it is a man, a monster, or a myth, no one really knows. What we do know is the people around Fouke, Arkansas say they have seen such a creature nearly 250 times since 1954. And that this creature, whatever it is, emits one of the most terrifying sounds ever recorded. The Legend of Boggy Creek, rated G.
Rated G. Rated G, of all things.
All right, so let's start off with the fact that thing is rated G.
Oh my god.
For general
dude.
audience. It's a horror movie and it's rated G. Number one. Number two, clearly a 70s trailer. Right?
Oh,
like
I
the
love
font and everything. Like it's clearly a 70s movie. I think my
love
favorite
that.
part is when the guy goes, "Hold this," and hands him a flashlight so that he can start pumping shotgun shells.
Yeah, right? Oh, dude. And, I mean, let's just talk about the gorilla suit, right? Can we just talk about that gorilla suit?
How about just everything seemed like it was terrible? Like, I really want to watch this movie now.
Yeah. To quote Tenacious D, couldn't be a man in gorilla suit. No fucking way, man. I know that's real.
I'm going to rent this tomorrow. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's $3.99 on the Apple Movies. I'll just rent it and watch it tomorrow.
Can you have like a Zoom meeting with me and I can watch it?
I'll plug my iPad in, Skype you, and just put it so that you can see the TV.
Perfect.
All right.
That was just good. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
man.
so funny. Yeah, that was pretty bad, huh?
Yeah, that was awful.
So.
But it looks like a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, absolutely. All right, let's watch the second one. Return to Boggy Creek, the 1977 trailer.
Return to Boggy Creek.
What kind of crazy place is this? Does somebody live here? Yeah. The monster.
Over 15 million people thrilled to the legend of Boggy Creek. Now the monster returns to stalk the swamps and terrify the citizens in his own very special way.
The all-new Return to Boggy Creek, the family adventure picture of the year. Are you too scared to come back? Return to Boggy Creek.
All right, two things.
Yep.
One, I forgot to mention about that first video, but they did it again in this video. The sound that they make for the monster.
Man, just like a man going. Convincing, really.
Yes. At number 2, the family motion picture event of the year.
Of course. Why wouldn't it be, right? You and your loved ones go see the Boggy Creek.
So evidently Return to Boggy Creek, also a rated G movie. And I also loved like the 1980, even though this is 1977, the 1980 intro with like just the lines.
Oh, man. Yes, the intro was great. It was so like video rental store.
Yeah. Return to Boggy Creek.
Also, can we talk about how that Sasquatch took a step in front of that kid and how that was a little sus? Like, I know there's thick black hair, but like, come on, Boggy Creek Monster, be chill.
Yeah. Seriously,
Be
bro.
chill.
Cool out. All right, let's watch Boggy Creek 2 and The Legend Continues.
Okay.
You can take my word for it, there ain't no monsters around here.
Hey, boy, where do you think you're going to find that monster?
Gonna find him in the swamp if it exists.
He's been seen over 100 times since the early 50s.
Seen by who? Drunks or city folks like you all want your names in the newspaper?
It's moved more than 50 yards in the last few seconds.
Something's out there, and it's heading toward Tanya. Tell him to come in, Brian.
Come on, give me the walk shot.
Is it him?
I don't know. Keep going. You better say something. That's why you're building these fires around this camp, isn't it? Because it's afraid of the fire. Isn't it?
You finally smart enough, cuz.
No!
Now, from the award-winning producer Charles C. Pierce comes a motion picture that will stir your imagination. From his first classic film, The Legend of Boggy Creek, he proudly presents Boggy Creek 2, and the legend continues. Rated PG, coming to a theater near you.
All right, so you can see how things changed in the 80s, and the FCC got a little more involved because this one's a PG, not just a G.
PG. Yeah. Also, immediately noticeable. Why does the video quality look 10 times worse than the last two movies?
I have no.
Like, it looks like it was on the scratchiest reel of film.
Better question. A, what's with that guy's shorts? And follow-up question, why is he wearing a hat that just says Arkansas across it?
Dude, just in case you forget where this is taking place, that's an Arkansas man right there.
I just love
the shortest
Jeep,
fucking shorts
Jeep
you've ever
gets
seen.
stuck in the mud, everybody bail and run. Fucking rabid dog comes through the window. Let's just pump 6 rounds from my gun into it.
Just pop a few shots off. Also, let's talk about Jim Bob. Was he really the Boggy Creek Monster?
Oh, man. You mean Captain Overalls?
Yeah, dude. Like, he had full tit hanging out. Like,
I'm convinced that that is who Farmer Fran is based off of from The Waterboy.
That makes sense. That checks out. I know. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually his real name in The Waterboy, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was.
Dude, that guy. I like the first thing you see with him. He's literally sitting down with his boob hanging out, and then like the Boggy Creek monster rips into the door, and a supposed nude woman is screaming. I'm sorry, that guy's getting tailed. I don't know. That's the most unbelievable thing I saw. Also, can we maybe talk about the? You mentioned it while we were watching the trailer. The fucking Boggy Creek radar.
Oh my God!
That they had,
dude.
They had a radar to track them. Thank goodness.
Thank God they had radar. Boggy Creek monster radar.
You can see him coming. You can see him coming a mile away with radar.
Better question: why were there 2 blips on it? Gotta watch the movie, find out. I guess.
Yeah, right. Also, just a quick quip: that deer is dead.
Dude, fuck that deer. Fuck that deer. That deer's dead.
Yep, that's a movie made in the '80s. That deer was killed in the making of that movie.
100%. That's an actual deer that they drowned.
You remember a guy on a buffalo?
Oh, wait. The actual movie or the YouTube movies that like split it up and just did like a voiceover with clips from the movie?
So, I mean, the 4-piece Guy on a Buffalo song is epic, which made me actually watch the movie one day. I was Buffalo Rider. That sounds great. Yeah. Let's watch it. Holy shit, so many animals clearly die in that movie.
Oh, 100%.
Just, like, clearly had, like, stomped on the head by a buffalo, drowned by a fucking cougar in a river. It's just like, what am I watching?
It's like they took B-roll from a nature show from the friggin' plains of the United States and just made a movie around it.
It was gruesome. It was rough to watch. On that note, though, good movie. Recommend.
Yes.
100%.
5 stars. Would watch again.
Yeah.
All right. Let's watch the Boggy Creek 2010 trailer.
I'm ready.
Oh my God. You and me both know what did this, Sheriff.
Yeah, there was a good-looking bunch of kids.
There were 5 of them. They were staying down on the water. If I'd had my way, I would have warned them.
Nobody did.
Was this just your way of trying to scare us off?
I told you I didn't do it.
But I am not going to be scared away.
I told you last night. There's something out there.
Oh, come on, man. What? You talking about that Bigfoot shit again?
If you care anything about these girls, get them out of here.
Run! Run!
So main difference between 1970s, 1980s, and the 2000s, sex sells.
Yeah, boobs.
Like clearly, like just everybody in that movie is just put them in bikinis, let them do a skinny dipping scene. This movie will be fine.
I mean, it was straight to video, so it was definitely NR. It was just not rated.
Yeah.
It's softcore porn, actually.
They couldn't get a rating. Yeah, it's softcore porn with a Boggy Creek monster as a subplot.
Yeah, it's the stuff you got to go to the specialty store to get. So
it's in the back room of the adult video store.
Also, why does it look like how do I say this delicately? All the actors were hired locally.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Absolutely
Yeah.
does. Yes.
Yeah.
How about like the first thing I noticed was it starts off with the same like across the water shot as the original trailer, but then immediately just pans to two Officer Deweys.
Oh, dude, straight up, dude. They were both. I think they were both breathing out of their mouth, if I remember it correctly.
100%.
Like it's
We
just.
both know it made this there, Sheriff.
Oh, dude, this is so bad.
I feel like it was a spoof. I feel like this whole thing is a spoof, this movie. Or at least this trailer.
I want to believe it, but I think it's for real. I think
The
it's for serious.
X-Files, I want to believe. Well, unfortunately, I could not find a trailer for the Skunk Ape story.
So it's that good, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Legacy of Boggy Creek and Skunk Ape story did not have trailers that I could find.
That's how you know it's going to be good, too.
I know. So, unfortunately, we can't do that one, but let's move on to encounters.
All right.
And like I said, the famous encounter that the first Boggy Creek film is based on occurred in 1971. So this encounter occurred in 1971. They filmed it in 1972 and released it in 1973.
Yeah, they worked fast.
Yeah. All right, so Bobby and Elizabeth Ford claim that the Boggy Creek monster attacked their home late on the night of May 1st. The monster, Elizabeth said, reached through the screen window, but was chased away by Bobby and Dan, his brother, who had just returned from a hunting trip. Unsatisfied, the monster returned shortly after midnight and tossed Bobby to the ground. Bobby was taken to the St. Michael Hospital in Texarkana and treated for large gashes across his back. He was suffering from mild shock when he arrived, according to newspaper reports. There were several papers covering the legend around this time. Although no traces of blood were found at the Ford's home, 3-toed footprints were found near the house. There were scratches on the porch, and the siding and a window were both damaged. Could have been a bear.
Right. Could have been a bear, honestly. Like, it sounds a lot like a bear, even.
Mainly because Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti type monster cryptids, whatever you want to call them, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're not the claw type creatures.
Yeah,
they're more like humanoid, ape-like. Like they don't have claws to scratch with.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, long nails. He was just a cokehead.
Yeah,
it
could just be that like the thing doesn't bite his nails, and
It was the 70s.
But, all right, so we have a bunch of other encounters that you found right online.
Well, actually, just circling back real quick to that first encounter, I actually found a newspaper clipping from that encounter from what was it, 71, 72?
71, yeah.
71. So I found a newspaper clipping. I thought it was really interesting. I wanted to share a few pieces from it because it had like a lot of direct quotes from the people involved.
Sure.
So I just thought it'd be neat to hear what they had to say. So living in the house was Bob Ford, Elizabeth Ford, Bob's brother Don Ford, and his wife Patricia Ford. So it was like a weird, the four of them living together situation.
The Fords.
Yeah, the Fords. The Ford brothers.
It is the South, so that's really just a living situation.
Yeah. So, it starts off. I was moving. It was moving so fast. I didn't stop to open the door. I just ran through it. Basically, there was a quote from Bobby Ford, age 25 at the time.
What a moron!
Right. So he just ran through his door, which is already kind of a red flag for the story, right? Like, why would you give up your one defense?
Okay, yeah, exactly. Like, okay, so I'm so scared at this thing coming at me. Instead of taking the time to open and try and close the door, I'm just going to run through my door, leaving zero defense between me and the outside world.
Right. Exactly. It's really dumb, bad logic. So it was a Sunday morning after the unidentified creature attacked a house about 10 miles south of Texarkana on U.S. Highway 71. We have lived there only 5 days, and I think we're going to move now, said Patricia, at age 22. The thing has been to the house 3 times now. So and then Bob adds in. At first, I thought it was just a bear, but it runs upright and moves fast. It's just covered with hair. It first started Wednesday when our wives heard something walking around on the porch. Then Friday night, about midnight, the thing tried to break into the house again. I saw and then Elizabeth Ford says, I saw the curtain moving on the front porch window and saw a hand sticking through the window. At first, I thought it was a bear's paw, but it didn't look like that. It had heavy hair all over and it had claws. I could see its eyes. It looked like coals of fire, real red. It didn't make any noise except for you could hear it breathing.
Why does every monster have red eyes?
Dude, right? It's just like, come on. Like they always have to have a red demon eyes.
Is there any actual animal out there that has red eyes, like other than like things that are photographed? You know what I mean? Like, are there animals with actual red eyes? Because I feel like no animal has a red eye.
I'm actually curious to that myself, so I'm just gonna do a quick search here. What animals have red eyes and why?
Because like I understand the Jersey Devil having a red eye, like red eyes, like Mothman having red eyes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They're like they're more like monsters,
right?
Than
but
I mean, I guess they're not like Jersey.
Ape,
like Jersey Devil is not a cryptid as much as it is a monster. I mean, it is a cryptid, but it's more like monster plane as opposed to like just cryptozoology, where it's just like here's this thing.
Right. Exactly.
That is just a species of something that we have not discovered yet.
So I looked up what animals have red eyes and why, and they showed me a bunch of snakes and lizards. So and they're not like glowing red; they're just reptile eyes. So
right,
I don't know. But anyway,
so unless this thing is part reptile, false.
Right, exactly.
All right.
So here's an interesting part. Bobby continues to add, we shot several times at it. Then called the Ernest Walraven, constable at Folk. He brought us another shotgun and a stronger light. We waited on the porch and saw the thing closer to the house. Imagine, right, giving up a call to the constable and being like, hey, there's some fuckery going on in my woods. He's just like, all right, let me bring you another shotgun.
You know what? That is the law working for you, my friend.
That is. I know, right? I love it. So, he continues on. We waited on the porch and then saw the thing closer to the house. We shot it again, and though we saw it fall, Ernest, Charles, and myself started walking to where we saw it fall. About the same time, they heard the women screaming up at the house, and Bobby went back. I was walking the rungs of the ladder to get up on the porch, and the thing grabbed me. I felt a hairy arm come over my shoulder, and the next thing I knew, I was on the ground. The only thing I could think about was how to get out of there. The thing was breathing real hard, and his eyes were the size of $50 and real red. Again, more red eyes. I finally broke away and ran around the house and through the front door, which he broke. I don't know where he went. And then basically, I'll end this whole thing with a quote from Constable Walraven, who showed up at the scene. He was there from 12 a.m. and stayed until 5 a.m., according to the paper. He said, several persons saw the thing and shot at it, some of them close range. They said nothing seemed to stop it. They described it as being about 7 feet tall and looked just like a naked man covered with brown hair.
All right. So the sheriff didn't see it? Or, sorry, the constable didn't see it?
No, he did. That was the constable at the quote there. Constable
right, but that's what I'm
Walraven.
saying. All he said was several persons saw the thing and shot at it, some from close range. They said nothing seemed to stop it, which indicates he didn't actually see it or do the shooting.
That's weird. Yeah, I guess
he was Billy
right.
Bob with the overalls inside the house, and they were outside shooting at it.
Yeah.
That's weird, man.
Totally.
All right. So this next encounter comes from Reddit, username Jurassicosauruj.
That's as good as it gets, I think.
Yeah. Post is called "Looking for Any Information on Arkansas Creature." I recently came across a story that the author claims is real, and I have also believed it's real. Good grammar. I'll post the story below. It's a creature that is approximately 6 to 8 feet tall, black-brown hair with long arms and legs, and has a shrieking scream howl, more like a it kind of sounds like the beginning of a karate movie. Ho!
A little bit of flute in the background, maybe.
Yep. I know it's vague, but it's what I have to go on. Crawls on all fours but can square up on its hind legs. That would be a bear. It's from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I believe the creature to be the same as both the folk monster and the Ozark howler. Something next for us to look up. The Ozark howler. Write that down.
I got a whole list of Arkansas cryptids.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right, here's a story posted by another Reddit user 4 years ago. I'm a little late to the party, so I'm sure this is going to get buried. I posted this a while back in a different thread of this nature that never picked up steam. It's fairly long ago, so I'm sorry about the wall of text. But when I wrote it, I tried to be as thorough as possible. Back in the early 90s, I was a kid, around 13 at the time of this incident, and I used to stay at my grandparents' house a lot in a very rural area in southeast Arkansas. When I say very rural, I mean it's a series of networked dirt roads to get out to their house. Closest neighbor besides my aunt and uncle, who lived about a quarter mile up the road, was over a mile and a half away. This was very backwoods and isolated from most civilization. Closest town was a 10-mile trip in the middle of a farmland, mostly woods. They had lived in this house since my mother was a child and had both grown up just a ways down the road. Anyway, there was a general store roughly 3 to 4 miles down network of dirt roads. This was a typical country general store ran by an old lady and her husband, and its only customers really only consisted of the people who lived out there. One day, my grandmother asked me if I wanted to walk to the general store and get her some milk. Oh, it's fucking 3 to 4 miles. You want to walk to get milk?
I'll take a quick 4 mile walk to.
And eggs and a few other miscellaneous items. Dude, take the fucking truck.
Right?
She gave me some money and I headed on my way. It's fairly early in the day and I had plenty of time to get back before dark. 3 to 4 miles? What are you, fucking running?
Yeah, right?
Which I always made sure to do when I was out roaming about. Things can get mighty creepy out in the backwoods of Arkansas after nightfall. That I don't disagree with. It's a darkness unlike most people who have lived primarily in cities or towns have never experienced. Me being a 13-year-old had poor time management skills. I stopped at the bottom of the hill next to this small wooden bridge you have to cross and messed around the creek watching crawdads and such as I kinda just messed around the whole way to the store. Crawdaddies. By the time I left the store, I realized it was quickly approaching dark. This was fall, and the darkness set upon the land pretty early in the day. Okay, this person turned into a novel writer all of a sudden.
Yeah, right.
I didn't want to be walking those lonely, secluded roads through the woods alone in the dark, so I hurried as fast as I could, running and sprinting as much as possible, but it wasn't enough. By the time I had made it back to the bottom of the hill near the bridge, it was almost completely dark, and there was an eerie sort of glow brought about by a very bright, nearly full moon that was rising. Well, if it's nearly full, then it's pretty bright.
Right.
At the top of the hill, the road was perfectly straight and flat. The woods on the left side, large fields on the right. About a half mile up from the top of the hill is my grandparents' house, and you can see it from there. As I top the hill, I can see the faint glow of the lights at their house, and I feel a sense of relief, because I was kind of freaking out a little bit, but knowing I was so close and could see the house offered a little bit of comfort. The field on the right was somewhat illuminated by the glow of the moon, and my eyes had adjusted to the darkness rather well at this point. Somewhat illuminated? Dude, I live in, like, a nice little cul-de-sac. When it's a full moon, I don't need a flashlight when I walk my dog at night.
And there's no other lights on there?
And I mean, I have trees and stuff, like, around. But, like, so this guy's got an open field with a full moon. It's pretty bright. I digress. Calling shenanigans on this motherfucker. As I walk up the road, I hear something from the left, behind me on the wood side of the road. It sounded like leaves being rustled. I turn to look and see nothing at first, but then as my eyes began to focus, I see something in the ditch. A black, shadowy shape slowly moving towards me. At first, I thought it was a dog, but then I realized it was much too large to be a dog. Then I realized it wasn't actually walking on 4 legs, it was crawling like a person would. I stared for a moment out of sheer confusement, trying to figure out what I was seeing, and then a jolt of fear shot through me as it dawned on me, whatever this thing was, it had been trying to sneak up on me. At that exact moment, the thing stood upright out of the ditch on 2 legs like a person. It had the shape of a human, long arms, legs, was proportioned as such. It stood roughly 7 to 8 feet in height and was completely covered in black or maybe dark brown hair. Its face was dark in color, and I can't recall seeing much in the way of features to do it being that it was night. It was no bear for certain or any other kind of animal I have ever seen for that matter. I immediately dropped the bag of stuff I had been carrying and bolted as fast as my legs could take me towards my grandparents' house. I heard a heavy, breathing, guttural, growling kind of sound behind me and heard this thing's footsteps running behind me on the gravel as it gave chase. Fuck that.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
absolutely.
No,
dude.
no,
Terrifying.
thank you.
Terrifying.
I didn't turn around, and I was certain that it would grab me at any moment, and then I heard it crash off into the woods and let out an earth-shattering and ungodly scream unlike anything I had heard ever before or since. I'm positive this thing could have easily caught me had it wanted to, but for some reason it let me go. That's bullshit. It either realized that it was getting too close to your grandparents' house and said, fuck that, I'm out, because if that thing wanted to grab you, it was going to grab you.
Right. Also, an earth-shattering, ungodly scream like anything I've ever heard before. I think we've heard it. Jesus Christ.
All right. By the time I reached my grandparents, my heart felt as it would explode from the combination of the adrenaline rush I had from being scared beyond any type of fear I'd ever had before or since, and full-on sprinting as hard as fast as possible for about half a straight mile. Sure.
Yeah,
I flew
right?
into the house in an incoherent mess of hyperactive gibberish, tried to explain to my grandparents what had just happened. My grandmother didn't really seem to believe me, but she did believe something had scared me and acted rather weird about the whole thing. She tried to convince me it was just a dog or some other animal, an 8-foot-tall dog.
Yeah, right?
The next morning, I woke up and found my grandpa sitting outside whittling wood underneath the shade tree in the front yard, as he often liked to do. I went and sat down beside him in one of the old metal lawn chairs. He was a very rational man, down to earth, and had grown up in the hunted that area his entire life. I'm just in the paranormal.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
knew every square inch of it, mapped into his mind. He knew every type of critter and creature that lived in those woods, what noises they made, where to find them, how to catch them, etc. I'd only been hunting with him a couple of years, but had been going out into those woods with him since pretty young age and walks on such. He had passed a lot of his knowledge down to me during those adventures. I spoke to him about what had happened to me the night before and told him that I knew what I saw. It wasn't my overactive imagination. I wasn't making it up. And it definitely wasn't a dog. He knew I wasn't just some dumb 13-year-old kid, and he knew that I knew the things he'd taught me. He stopped whittling, looked me straight in the eyes, and said, I know what you saw. I've seen it before, too. There's things out in them woods that people don't understand, and that person ought not to go fooling with. I remember those words clearly to this day. I don't remember those words right now, and I just read them because it gave me affirmation, but at the same time made me realize that whatever I'd seen was very real in existence and beyond my understanding. My grandpa then went on to tell me far back in the woods there's some cliffs, and at the bottom of those cliffs is a cave. He told me that the cave is where the creature lived. How the fuck would you know? He had once stumbled upon it. Oh, it's going to tell me. He had once stumbled upon it a long time ago when he was hunting. He said he was standing at the top of the cliff looking at it when a creature fitting the same description emerged and began screaming wildly at him and throwing rocks. He said he took a small shot at it, missed, and then this thing gave chase, but my grandfather was on top of the cliff, so in order to get to him, this thing had to go around pretty good distance and then up, which he said it quickly began to do, so he hightailed it out of there in a hurry, as you should.
Yeah, absolutely. Get the fuck out of there.
Right? He said the whole way back home, he felt as if he was being watched and kept hearing twigs snap behind him, and he was certain that it was following him. stalking him. He made it home, and as he reached the front porch, he turned back to look in the woods where he'd come and saw it peeking out at him from behind a tree. Fuck that noise.
Yeah, right.
Later that night, he said he and my grandmother awoke in the early morning hours to large rocks being thrown at the house and ungodly howling noises from outside, and this thing trying to get into the house. He said he could hear it walking around the front porch, rattling the doorknobs, banging on windows, and it sounded like it was muttering to itself in a low, deep, garbled voice, but it doesn't sound like a language, just a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Trey.
What?
I'm sorry, I made myself laugh. It's just a bunch of gibberish, and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Trey.
Fuck off.
After a while, I'm going to have to edit that somehow. After a while, the thing went back to throwing some more rocks and howling, so my grandpa grabbed his shotgun, fired out the front door a few times into the darkness, in the direction of the howling. Heard it run back into the woods. He didn't know if he'd hit it or not. He said that it was the last he'd ever seen or heard from it, but over the years, the occasional farmer's cow would be mutilated, or some hunting dog would go unexplainably missing, or someone would have a story about some strange creature they'd seen. He also said it scared my grandmother beyond words, and she absolutely refused to ever talk about it or even acknowledge that it happened, which explains her acting weird about it when I told her that it happened to me. I know it's a pretty far-fetched story, and you can believe it or not, makes no difference to me. I know what I saw, my grandpa knows what he saw, and neither of us had ever felt the need to convince anyone else of it. In fact, until today, I've never actually spoken of it to anyone other than my grandpa, and he passed away roughly 10 years ago. Honestly, it gives me the chills. I fully believe it to be real. I've been doing research for hours, can't find any more information. Any would help.
Yeah. What do you think? Cold water?
I don't know, man.
It's hard to tell with these ones, right?
It could just be somebody who likes writing these kinds of stories.
Right.
I would say plausible, only because this person's grammar is so shitty.
That alone.
Yep. Because I feel like if it was like a storyteller trying to like tell a story, it would sound better.
Yeah, they would have written it a little bit more coherently.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. That was the only thing I could find for like a firsthand like spoken encounter.
Yeah.
About the folk monster online. So I'm gonna throw it out there because honestly, I'm just gonna say that's it for firsthand encounters because
yeah, that's fair.
I went to a website called folkmonster.net and there's a list of like firsthand encounters as recent as 2019 even.
Yeah, I think it starts all the way back at what, 1908?
Yeah. However, I didn't include any of these stories because all of them, basically, they don't include names or a source to back anything up. It was all just like a mother saw, or a couple spotted, or a trapper found hair in his trap. You know what I mean? It was like nothing held real substance. It was all investigated by one dude.
Right.
But however, I did want to read one of my favorite fucking bullshit nothing stories from that list that I read, because it barely counts as a sighting, and it's just so fucking funny that they put it in here and being like, "Oh, see, folk monster!" Like, whoa.
Okay, I'm very excited.
1992, Folk, Arkansas. Man sees a hairy, upright creature standing beside the road as he drove at night. It crossed the road behind the car. Dude, come on! Like, that's the whole thing. That's the whole fucking thing. It could be a dude in a jacket.
That's a
for
bear.
All you know.
That's a fucking bear.
So, yeah, a bear, anything. It could be literally anything,
could have been anything.
It's crazy. Like, and also, I just want to throw out there, too, do you remember not too long ago, the bear that had its paw, like, hurt or damaged, and it was walking through people's, like, lawns looking for help, basically?
No.
Like, because it couldn't walk on all fours, because, like, its hand was, like, amputated from, like, a bear trap or something crazy, so it was missing one of its front legs, so it walked on its back two legs.
Yeah, dude,
it just
there
adapted.
are dogs that just walk on their back two legs.
Yeah.
Because they have to, or because they're trained to.
And this was when we caught on camera. It was on the news. You know what I mean? It very much so could have just been a bear who was missing a paw,
100%.
or you know what I mean? So, it's just funny. So
that's
I
literally
left a lot of
nothing.
those out because they were bad. Yeah, they were
It's
bad.
literally nothing. All right. Let's get into. So we talked a little bit about pop culture with the movies and stuff that this legend has inspired. But like we did with the Jersey Devil, we try to go online. As far as photos go, there are no known photos of Boggy Creek, the Boggy Creek Bigfoot, I'm going to call it. So it's pretty much just all fan art. Like if you type in the Folk Monster or Boggy Creek Monster, it's all just like fan art. And of that fan art, most of it is just like normal Bigfoot drawings, so there's really nothing special.
Sure.
But what I do want to talk about is the Monster Mart.
Yes. Let's definitely talk about that.
Yes. The folk home of the legendary Boggy Creek Monster. That's the name of the store. It's the Monster Mart, the folk home of the legendary Boggy Creek Monster.
That's great.
It's a convenience store and souvenir shop in Folk, Arkansas that sells Boggy Creek Monster paraphernalia, and I use that very loosely, and I will explain why in a minute. In an attempt to capitalize on the Boggy Creek legend, Peavy's Monster Mart sells souvenirs and trinkets based on the beast and has even erected a large wooden cutout outside of the store where visitors and tourists can take pictures of themselves as the Boggy Creek Monster. And I snagged some photos off their Facebook page. So this first photo is inside the store, and it's like a depiction of what looks to be like a Folk Monster family, like a Papa Folk,
like
a Mama Folk, and a Baby Folk.
And a little Ewok folk.
Yeah, a little Ewok. I'm sure it's just for like a photo op or something, but it's got like a little sign, and you can see it. It's on your screen.
I love the Boggy Creek 2 poster right next to it, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, from the movie.
Yes, from the movie. And then Chris found this photo from outside the Monster Mart.
Yeah, someone just uploaded that. They were like, I was outside the Monster Mart, and this was there.
Yeah, so it's another photo opportunity. It's just what appears to just be a Bigfoot. The next photo is my personal favorite. It is a Merry Christmas card, I guess, from Folk Monster. That is literally a drawing of the Boggy Creek Monster with fangs and beady little yellow eyes, but they put a cute little Santa hat on him and put him behind a Christmas tree and put Merry Christmas.
Oh, man. Dude, that reminds me of holy shit, dude. My
like
coworker
Krampus. I would love to see Krampus Part 2 with the Boggy Creek Monster.
Oh, dude. Boggy Creek versus Krampus?
Yes.
2009. So, I have a coworker at work that absolutely despises Godsmack. And I use that to my advantage. And one year for Christmas, I photoshopped a picture of Godsmack just like this. It was like Santa hats on the whole crew, Christmas trees. Like the main singer had like his fist up like against the camera. And I put like a little candy cane coming out of it. Like it was so good, dude. And that's just what this picture reminds me of. Is just like how ridiculous, dude.
It's so good.
You just slap a hat and a Christmas tree there and just like Merry Christmas.
So the reason before I put those air quotes around the Boggy Creek paraphernalia is because like there's not a wide selection of stuff.
Okay.
I think they have like 4 t-shirts. If that, like 4 t-shirt styles, which I mean, I guess, and like 2 lunch boxes, some shot glasses, a coffee mug here or there. Like I put a picture of some of the stuff that they sell on your screen here, but it was not a lot of stuff.
Can we also talk about how it's a Bigfoot search kit and a Bigfoot lunchbox? And
yes, that's my point. That's my point. It's not even Boggy Creek.
It's just fucking Sasquatch, everything.
It's literally like they're just shipping this stuff in from Oregon.
Dude, legitimately. They were like, oh, this guy's already making it. Let's just fucking import it.
Fucking assholes.
Holy shit, dude.
Such assholes.
Seriously.
And then you found something else too, that is absolute utter nonsense.
Also, something I didn't put together when I found this originally. This article is by Lyle Blackburn, the guy who does all of the fucking Fook Monster sightings. Like, you see the Fook Monster, you call Lyle Blackburn. He did the one earlier with the fucking car and the guy walking behind the car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did.
The same guy,
It's credited. Okay. All right, so
weird.
Arkansas Morning News. And this is perfect because this is March 2020.
Yep.
This is the latest. This is the latest sighting of the Fook Monster, and I guess he's having problems too. Am I right, Chris? Right?
Yeah.
Fook Monster breaks into local bathroom, steals toilet paper.
Dude, we can't even read that without me just like wheezing like a bat. Dude, it's too much. It's too much.
Dude, fuck you, Lyle Blackburn.
Right? Corona affects us all.
Yeah. That's the stupidest thing. I'm going to try and read some of this. Local man, Jeremy Turnipede, called authorities at approximately 2 a.m. Thursday morning to report that the infamous Fook Monster reached through the bathroom window and vanished with 3 rolls of Cottonelle aloe vera treated toilet paper. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, dude. I'm not reading any more of this. That's fucking awful.
No, come on. All right, I'll read it. Let me read it.
I got it.
Oh, it's so good.
God, it's hard to find that particular brand, said Turnip Seed. Especially in times like these, with all this virus panic going on. DNA officers who arrived on the scene followed tracks that led from Turnip Seed's bathroom window to about a quarter mile into the cypress tree near Boggy Creek. Then lost the trail. Amazingly, the creature left behind 2 rolls of Charmin and 4 rolls of Angel Soft, opting to take the aloe vera treated Cottonelle. Sensitive bottoms.
Dude, oh my god, dude.
I gotta get through this. Maybe me and that monster got something in common, said Turnip Seed. It's like 1 sentence left. Oh, fuck.
It's worth reading. It's so worth reading.
I know. Now I'm going to have to go see if the grocery store have any preparation H. Probably out of that, too. Oh. Holy fuck.
So yeah, I found that online today. So.
Oh my god, dude, I haven't laughed that hard since we did the bunyip.
Oh god, the bunyip.
Remember the
bunyip flip. Holy fuck, dude. That was bad. Oh. Holy shit,
Sweet
dude.
Christ.
All right. Yeah, so that's the Fook Monster, guys. Guard your toilet paper if you live in Arkansas, especially if you have the aloe vera type Cottonelle.
Dude,
he's gonna come take it through your window.
Breathe. I cannot breathe right now. Oh.
However, if you have an excess of toilet paper and you need a little bit more, he does a pretty good trade. So, you can say you got one roll of the Cottonelle, you leave that out for
Fook Monster.
The Fook Monster, and he leaves you 2, and it's a win-win.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So, yeah. All right. So, obviously, that one was a gaffe.
Yes. There's no way. I really hope that was a joke.
Yeah, I mean, if not, someone should really check on Lyle because he's losing it.
Or Jeremy Turnipseed.
Mr. Turnipseed, the respected Mr. Turnipseed.
My God.
So on a final note, or not a final note, but on a note here with the folk monster, I found out today while doing my research that Arkansas is also a gold mine of cryptids. I'm not really sure what that says about the state, but they sure do have multiple cryptids in the woods there.
Yeah.
Some of these include the Ozark Howler, which we heard earlier.
Right.
The White River Monster, the Arkansas Dogman, which I've heard of a Michigan Dogman, but not the Arkansas one.
Oh, boy.
And the ever elusive Arkansas Hyena, which I looked into that one, and it's literally just a hyena. They're just like, I saw a hyena in the woods. You probably saw a wolf, my dude. But anyway, so again, we may or may not get into those into like a later podcast. But I just thought it was interesting that they had all those cryptids in one place.
Funny.
Like, why Arkansas of all places? Like, why is that the cryptid hotspot?
I know.
So, you know,
it's
I just thought
South.
that was interesting.
It's because it's the South. So the other thing I came across was the Folk Monster Festival that takes place in August, although it's probably not going to take place this year, although it's Arkansas, so you never know.
Maybe. They'll march in with it.
Exactly. But this is the info that's on their Facebook page.
Cool.
We have decided to make this an annual event due to overwhelming popularity. We are moving to a larger facility, the auditorium at Folk Middle School. Thank goodness. Once again, the proceeds will benefit Folk School District. We will also be awarding a scholarship to a Folk High School senior. That's nice. The speakers are Lyle Blackburn.
So that's our guy.
That makes sense. Based of Boggy Creek. Robert Robinson, Legend Tripping. David Weatherly, Wood Knock Series. Jerry Hestand, Hunting Apes in America. Special guest, Pamela Pierce, daughter of director Charles B. Pierce. Couldn't even get Charles. I'm assuming Charles is dead, and that's why they need to get his daughter.
Yeah, maybe.
I would hope. Otherwise, that's just a giant middle finger from Charles.
Yeah, right?
Jay Smokey Crabtree, son of Smokey Crabtree.
Okay, great.
And the Legend of Boggy Creek cast members Glenn Carruth, Bobby Ford, Kathy Cox Lee, Trailer Incident, Ginger Hawkins Roush, Trailer Incident, and Jerry Trapman, the Hunter. So that is Boggy Creek, the folk monster, the Legend of Boggy Creek. Do you have anything to add or any thoughts on this particular cryptid, Chris, besides the fact that he is a dirty, dirty toilet paper thief?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much on a final thought, really. My biggest thing is I think it's probably just like a bear that doesn't have like a leg or something, so standing up.
Yeah.
Or something along the lines. I mean, there's something out there that's scaring these people, obviously. But what it is as a Boggy Creek monster, I don't think so.
Yeah,
but
I'm on the same kind of thing with you. What I am going to do at some point, I'm going to try and figure this out because I didn't have enough time to get to the timetable. But here's what I'm curious about.
Mm-hmm.
Right? West Coast is where Bigfoot lives.
Yeah.
Right? Seattle, or in the Washington, Oregon area.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
In those woods. Northern California, maybe too. So what I'm curious about, because this says that folk monster Boggy Creek goes as far back as 1834. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So when did we get out to the west? When did Bigfoot become a thing? Who was first?
Right.
That's my question. Was the Boggy Creek monster first, or was Bigfoot first? Because if the Boggy Creek monster was first, it could have been that they took that ghost story, if you will, out with them when they went out west and settled out there. Or it could have been they were out west, they saw Bigfoot, they came back east, told their family about it, and then the legend of the Boggy Creek monster, not to be outdone. Oh, we have one of those on the East Coast too, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, it's Bigfoot. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
So that's what I'm curious about. I'm going to look that up, and maybe we'll do just like a quick little side story. Well, not a side story because that's probably copywritten. We'll do a little extra bonus episode.
Nice.
For you guys. So that's how we're going to wrap up the Boggy Creek Monster. Luckily, this week we have another listener story.
Heck yeah.
And this week's listener story comes from Jonathan in Massachusetts.
Yep.
And
Personal friend of mine. Hey, Johnny.
Yeah. And he didn't say whether or not he wanted to remain anonymous, so I'm just leaving his last name out to be on the safe side.
I called him before the show. He's good, but he said he didn't carry it away, so
okay,
we can
we'll go Jonathan, Massachusetts. You know who you are.
Yep. All
right. He writes, "Hey guys, I have a story that happened to me many years ago when I was about 12 years old. Sorry for the terrible spelling and grammar. It's okay. Sorry for reading like I'm in 4th grade. Trying to use my tablet, and it tends to add grammar and correct spelling when it thinks it needs it. Growing up, I lived on Cape Cod in the beautiful town of East Falmouth, Massachusetts. Most locals know the story about Highfield Hall, which was built in 1878 by the Beebe family, along with a mansion called Tanglewood, which came in 1879. This property sits in a secluded area in Falmouth, Massachusetts, which sits on 700 plus acres of land. Wow.
Damn.
The story I've heard all my life is that the Beebe family were murdered by their 2 kids. Yeesh. Not only did they murder their family, but they also murdered the help. Great. Nice kids.
Yeah, right?
The 2 kids eventually hanged themselves in the shed, which still exists today. Some people say they see a woman some nights standing in front of the top middle window, while others claims to have heard the sound of high heels walking down the main staircase. That's creepy. Some people claim to hear running and panic while walking the trails late at night and other strange activities. My question is, why are you walking the trails late at night?
Yeah. Yeah, go at the daytime.
Right. When I was 12 years old, about 2001, 2002, my older sister, mom, stepdad, and I stopped here to go hiking in the woods, as we often do. This time, we decided to check out the house since they had just started doing constructions and renovations. We figured we might be able to get a sneak peek inside to see what it looks like. When I was younger, the windows were painted black and boarded up so no one could break in. This day, we walked into the front of the house. There's a picture below that we'll show you guys. And there was a young woman dressed in an all-white dress, almost like a white nightgown, with a small paint can in her hands. Okay. We did not think anything of this because the renovations they were making, but this is where it got strange. This is where it got strange? Not the girl in a nightie with a paint can? All right.
The invitation in.
I know. It was like, just, here, I'm in a nightgown. Oh, come on in. The young lady asked us randomly if we would like to check out the house and go inside. Obviously, we said yes, as soon as we were told we could go in. She opened the door for us, and I think over 1,000 ladybugs flew out as soon as the door was open. That was creepy, but not creepy enough for us not to go in, so we decided to go in. That's creepy enough for me not to go in.
That's fair.
The house was amazing and very old. There was dust everywhere, and the floors looked like they would break in half if you stepped in the wrong place. Normally, people were not allowed to go inside because it was unsafe, but the lady let us in anyway. We walked around the house and went up each flight of stairs, which seemed to be never-ending. There were random secret hallways that made secret doors and made this house even cooler. We all split up and started walking around on our own, which is how every Scooby-Doo goes wrong, for the record.
That's how you fall into a trap.
The classic Scooby-Doo. I had my dog with me. Scooby-Doo!
Yep. There's Scoob.
Zoinks! Like, hey, Scoob. I had my dog with me at the time, and she was terrified to go into some of the rooms. I still remember to this day picking up my dog and forcing her to go into some of those rooms she was clearly scared to go in. My whole body froze, and the hair on the back of my neck started standing up. It's difficult to describe, certainly a feeling I'd never felt before. That did not stop me from continuing to explore, though. We walked around as much as we could and checked out absolutely everything. By the time I got back downstairs, I was about to check out the basement, but could not find a light. I started walking down, and I remember clear as day hearing someone cough and laugh in the pitch-black basement. Book that. My mom and stepdad and older sister were all in the upper levels, so I know it wasn't them. I immediately ran away. Smart boy.
Yep. Yeah, out of there.
No, thank you. I remember getting my mom and told her about the basement. We all walked over to the basement and searched for a light, but had no luck finding one. We decided not to go down just in case it wasn't safe, not because, there are people coughing and laughing down there, and because I was too scared to walk down. We decided that we would leave because there really wasn't anything else to look at. When we left the house, we searched for the lady who let us in, but she was nowhere to be found. That was strange, considering that this mansion was a historic site and was always locked up for safety reasons. We searched all over to let her know we were leaving, but never found her. I remember we started walking back towards the car, and the barn swung open, and 2 ropes were hanging from the beams. Fuck off. We decided we would go home instead of going for a walk, so we hopped back in the car. That was really smart. We drove away. I remember it perfectly, looking out my window at the house and thinking how cool it was to finally walk around inside. As we drove away, I saw the lady who let us in looking out the window on the top floor in her white nightgown. That was a ghost, dude.
Yeah, the ghost let you in, man.
You saw a ghost. I still don't know quite how to explain to this day. I'm explaining for you. It's a fucking ghost. I remember the eerie, chilling feeling that I have never felt before. Unless you've experienced that feeling, it's hard to describe. Perhaps it was nothing in all my imagination, but I remember it like it was yesterday, and I will never forget it. I know that feeling. It's like having someone behind you breathing very softly on your neck, but there's no one there.
That's gross and unsettling.
Yes, it's not like a creepy breathing. It's just like somebody who's so close to you that you can feel their breath.
Yeah.
But you also know that there's no one there, so like that's why it's that creepy feeling where the hair on the back of your neck stands up. That's how I would describe it.
That's fair.
But yeah, so perhaps it was nothing in all my imagination, but I remember it like it was yesterday, and I will never forget it. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Below, I have some pictures of the Tanglewood Mansion from how I remember it when I was younger, along with how it looked today, now that the renovations are done. What is also strange is that since the renovations have been completed, it's difficult to find any murder or historical records about the death or hanging. Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird,
Everything
right?
I read today says the Beebe family died from many things. The woman in the window apparently died of cancer. I don't know where all the records online went, but I know for a fact they did exist online because I remember researching and reading about the Beebe children killing everyone. Today, they apparently died by natural causes, which are not true. Mandela effect.
Yeah, right? That's 100%.
Now that the renovations have been done for quite some time, it has since been turned into an art gallery and a wedding destination. That makes sense. My guess is that they removed all the creepy stories online so they can get business. I know the records exist somewhere about what really happened because I and others have read them, and most local East Falmouth, Massachusetts residents remember the story of the Beebe children killing their whole family. Oh, dude. Below is a picture of how the mansion used to look when I was younger, on your screen now. Nice, like, old-style mansion, just like a...
Beautiful.
Yeah, imagine, like, cotton plantation, but in Massachusetts, so without the slaves. And below is what it looks like today after it's been renovated. Also big, much more Tudor.
Lost its charm, I think.
Yeah, they turned it into a Tudor style home. I hope this was an interesting try that again, huh? I hope this was an interesting read, as it was certainly an interesting experience for me. Okay.
That's awesome.
John.
I had no idea.
Jonathan, you saw a ghost. A fucking ghost let you and your family into that house. You walked around a haunted mansion. You split up. By all accounts, if you go by the law of any movie ever, only one of you should have made it out alive. And the dog. Because the dogs in those movies usually don't die. So it should have been either you, your sister, and the dog.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I never knew that happened. That's awesome. And I mean, one of the coolest things, I'm not a huge fan of Massachusetts. But that being said, there's a lot of really cool history that happened in Massachusetts, and something like this,
like the Boston Tea Party.
Right, exactly. And it's just cool to hear about stuff like that. I just currently moved to a historic town in New Hampshire, and now I'm finding that there's a lot of stuff from the 1800s just hanging around this area. It is
Haunted?
crazy.
Is it haunted? Is anything haunted?
No. I mean, I like there's a grist mill on like one of the paths that's from 17 something. The the path that we walk on is the old discarded
you got to
search track.
The town history of see if anything in that town is haunted, and when I will come up and visit you, and we will do an episode from some haunted place.
I can do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that is very potential. Where So
cool.
Just a broad description. Near the Lakes region in New Hampshire, so There's a lot of history out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Also, Johnny, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, man.
I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for submitting that. Obviously, we want to hear more stories. DM us on Instagram. Email us at the number 4guysmedianetwork@gmail.com, or through our website, the number 4guysmedia.com.
Yeah.
We want to hear your stories. You send them in.
Anything.
We read them. That's how it works.
Yep.
Doesn't have to. It doesn't matter what it is. Listener stories that are obviously related to whatever the hell we talk about on the show. In some way, shape, or form.
I love hearing from people who listen to the show and just have stories to tell. It's great.
So, all right. Well, that's how we're going to wrap up this time on the Mystery and Our History podcast. Be sure to check out our website, like I said before, the number 4Guys Media Network at number 4guysmedia.com. For news, updates, and a list of all of our podcasts. And we will see you guys next time.
See
y'all. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you have any suggestions or topics for us to cover, email us at 4guysmedianetwork@gmail.com. If you're on the go, you can subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Be sure to check out our Patreon page, 4Guys Media Network, for access to exclusive content like minisodes and more. We have a lot of goals to hit, so we can keep improving and continue providing more content ad-free. So all of your donations are greatly appreciated. Make sure you subscribe to the 4Guys Media Network YouTube channel for all of our other projects by clicking the link on the right. And lastly, if you want to watch another episode, just click the link on the left. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.